You know, if it goes on like that, it is difficult to ask people to be reasonable. You know, if we have 2 or 3 or more of that occurrences, now even the most level-headed, the most reasonable person or official, at the level of governor, they start saying things that they are compelled to
do you think that that's the goal of the group?
I think so.
Disintegration.
There's an element of that in it. But you see, there have been different manifestations of this group. The most identifiable objective that I think they have is to Islamize the North in particular, and of course make a similar bid that's an untenable and unrealistic ambition. So in the end, what we are confronted with is anarchy. It has really become a mess, but I know that it will be difficult to introduce and sustain it in an environment that is actively hostile to whatever they stand for.
Okay, how do you think this hostility can be demonstrated?
Look, weren't you impressed the way they isolated the location they were in?
I mean, on the part of the people.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That is an indication that they must have gotten intelligence before they can do that kind of targeted operation. That is precisely what I'm saying. I mean, we haven't had it. That is even, probably there have been attempts before that are not publicized, but look at that. It has not happened yet. It is not as if that such an incident has happened somewhere and because of that, it could not even start. What that indicates is that there is not much sanctuary for them, for those who want to commit that kind of crime in that particular environment.
In other words, it brings to mind what you just highlighted, talking about some kind of passive or subtle, should I say, acceptance or laid-back attitude of the people, maybe in some community where they operate.
Yeah. Well, that is terrorism. It is standard, explanation of terrorism. I'm not saying that anybody is sponsoring or behind Boko Haram, but the fact is that terrorism thrives, succeeds only where, for whatever reason, there is passivity against the activity that, look, there may be an indifference.
I think you have a point there, because once, after a while, we saw that most of these groups, then internationally speaking now, started drifting towards Afghanistan and some other areas, and even Mali. But again, as Nigerians, as Chamberlain asked earlier on, what can we do? Now, you gave us an example of what happened in Kano, which is unprecedented. How can we stem this as a people?
Well, the Sultan advocated amnesty. Now, amnesty cannot be undertaken in a vacuum. You must have a structure of somebody you want to engage. I've heard all sorts of things that people say that there are some of them who are in jail and things like that. But those people are saying they are not part of it. So how do you engage somebody that you caught claiming not guilty, is not part of it? What do you negotiate with that kind of? If he negotiates with you, he's accepting his guilt. So I think that the government, the way it is not a case of we versus them. It is not a case of the government versus these people, which is what people want to project it. If you formulate it that you are going to get it wrong. It's all of us. I personally will have wished that General Buhari will have lent his stature to help him in mediating some kind of peace. But he flat out rejected it.
Why?
Well, I don't know.
Why would you think he should come in?
Oh, because he has credibility. Because he's a man of integrity. I mean, if Buhari comes out, in the north today or in Nigeria, to say that he wants to, he's an opinion leader. You cannot dispute that. From that part of the country, he stands out. And he's somebody that, and his kind of credibility is such that the common people, they have faith in him. They trust. I believe that if he throws himself into the equation, I think it will go to a large extent. Look, let me give you an instance. When Chief Awolowo was alive, robbers mistakenly, robbed his house or something. So when they were told that it was Chief Awolowo, those robbers came back to him the following morning to return everything and prostrated to beg him that you should practice. They didn't know it was. So, if you also, that shows you the level of, acceptability and heroism. So, if somebody like General Buhari, for instance, I have that belief, firm belief, that if he undertakes on behalf of the country to engage with these people, they will, I think that, something good will come out of it.
But even before he undertakes that responsibility, because one key thing, for most of the crime that has been busted, a lot of it depends on the public volunteering information to security agencies. But you have consistently the point being raised concerning how the police needs to encourage the public to come forward with information, because they feel that, look, they're still not sure how that needs to be done, and that's a vital part, or isn't it?
You see, I think Nigerians presume some things that are not correct. How will you, people say they will use intelligence. How do you imagine that they are not doing that? It doesn't make sense that there's no way. It's not Jonathan's government. Look, we have a structure of security forces. They are professionals. They have a job to do. You don't have the kind of experience they have. You don't have the kind of training they have. So I think it's presumptuous of many people to start lecturing them on what they should do. You have to assume that they are doing that. Now, the thing about terrorism or combat terrorism is not an exact science. And the tragedy is that actually the government might have done a lot. Or let me put it this way, things might have gotten much, much worse than it has. Maybe for every attack, they have stopped or prevented 9. Now, if you are aware of that statistics, will your opinion about the government not change? You see, this is the issue. Look at the Christmas Day attempted bombing, in the U.S., Detroit, Just sheer luck was what prevented that situation. Now, this is a country that whatever you can imagine in terms of capability to address security problems is far ahead of any other nation on the one. And that kind of thing happening to it.
Yeah, but are we not saying that? You said there's been results ever since then because of the actions they put in place. You have people who have told you, look,
there have been results?
Yeah, in terms of how much of those attacks have gone off compared to what it's...
Well, that is what I'm saying. Look, you are not privy to the Boko Haram operations and their plan and their schedule of activities. What I'm saying is that suppose, as I said, just one instance that before that one, 9 had been prevented. See, look, for me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to think that, for instance, the government is not adopting a 2 or 3 track approach to what is happening, just as the public is saying. I hear people say the government should gather intelligence security. What else would they do if they were not gathering intelligence? What else? The issue of amnesty should be preceded